Hello, Cal State East Bay community. I'm Leyla,
And I'm Erin.
and we're here to tell you a little bit about the Queer and Questioning support group. And this support group is a little unique among the ones that Student Health and Counseling offers because Erin and I both share the identities that we're going to be talking about and supporting with. So we thought the best way to kind of introduce this group was actually to introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about our own experiences, which is exactly what we'll be doing in the group, talking and supporting each other and hearing each other's experiences. So yeah, Erin, do you want to tell us a little bit about your identity?
Sure, thanks. So I identify as queer, and I also identify as genderqueer. And what I really enjoy and value about my identities is that I don't fit into a box, right? That I get to play around with gender expression, gender performance. Sexuality can be really open, really free, really positive. And there doesn't seem to be any sort of prescription about how I can act or what I can wear or groups I can hang out with. So I really like the openness and the freedom of it. And I really like to deconstruct gender, to subvert gender, and find that really enjoyable. And what about for you, Leyla? What do you value and what are your identities?
So, Erin, I feel like you're speaking my language. I also identify as queer. That answers both sexuality and gender for me, which is part of the reason that I like the term queer fits for me because it just kind of covers everything. Yeah, and I think that's part of what I value about it. I think not only does it kind of give me a different perspective in terms of sexuality and gender, it kind of gives me a different perspective on like everything, because there's something to me about queerness that you're already kind of stepping outside of the box or what we're told is like normal. So in my life, this identity has led me to question kind of everything. It makes me think differently about dynamics in terms of race and ethnicity. It makes me think differently about how we view bodies and what we're told is good or bad or normal or abnormal. So I feel really actually feel really grateful for this identity and this different perspective that's kind of given me on the ways that we relate to ourselves and each other.
No, I really actually appreciate that it's a way to have a lens on the world that allows us to be curious and allows us to look at systems and evaluate them in a different sort of way. So I too share gratitude for the identity and the kind of perspective it has allowed me to develop. Yeah.
So Erin, I'm curious what you would say are some of the challenges of this identity.
So I think with an identity that is so open and so undefined, the challenges are the people that want you to define it for them. What does it mean? What does it look like? How is it that you dress this way on this day, but you act this way? Or how, your personality doesn't, that they want alignment. And people want things to all make sense. And sometimes it doesn't all make sense together because it's so fluid and dynamic. And so I think part of the challenge is explaining to people your identity. And they're like, it doesn't quite make sense. And it's like, well, that's okay. We'll work on it. We'll coach you along. And I think just that the identity is invisible. It's not always possible to wear identities on the body. And so people make a lot of assumptions. And therein lies the opportunity to explain things again. And you're always explaining and sort of coming out. So I think that's one of the challenges for me. What about for you, Leyla? What do you think are some of the challenges?
Yeah, well, first I just feel like what you're saying makes me think of like, we have these boxes sort of set for people and people are like, but you should go into this box. And you're like, no, I don't really fit in that box. And they're like, no, but no, I don't understand, not the box. So yeah, I feel like I hear you on that. And I think for me, what has been challenging is just like continuously finding pieces of my identity that I didn't know I had access to like an earlier stage of my life. So, it wasn't until like college that I started thinking like, I think I might be like bisexual. And like that was the thing for a while because it felt like that was the closest that I could get to an understanding of like my gender and sexuality because I didn't see any other options. Those were never like made available, even though I knew that what I was currently identifying as didn't quite make sense. It wasn't until then I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And then when I learned about like queer and what that meant, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And I feel like as I continue to go through my life, I just keep finding things that are like, that now that makes sense. This doesn't make sense. And like kind of cobbling together a sense of identity as I go, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes I wonder like, okay, but if I had been able to question this at an earlier stage, what would that have meant for my life in general? So I think because these identities are invisibilized, it makes it hard to have access to being able to name what feels true for us. So, and being able to name our truths is so important for healing and knowing ourselves and feeling comfortable. So, I think that's kind of part of the challenge for me.
Yeah, like, can I claim that? What is that? Can I include that? Is that allowed? Is that a thing? You know, and
I think that's part of my hope for this group is that we'll be able to help people talk through that, help people share information in ways that, you know, some of us may not have had access to before. So that's part of my hope. I'm curious for you, Erin, what are some of your hopes for this group that we're going to be hosting?
Yeah, I think my hope is to help just build community and visibility. You know, I think college life can be really challenging, and when you sort of feel hidden or unseen, it can be even more challenging. So I think to see one another and to see the diversity in identities and to see what people are claiming and realize that there's no one way to do it, and that it all is okay, and is that we are affirming of it, and we can grow with each other, I think is a hope that I have. Yeah. So what are your identities? What are your challenges? What are your values? What are your questions? How is family work out for you? What is your experience of microaggressions? What's your intersectionality? We want to know. We want to be in community with you, and we value your wisdom. So this group is happening every Thursday at noon. And you can sign up through the portal or by calling the front desk.
We look forward to seeing you there.
Absolutely.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.